Hey everyone, WGP Tokyo just finished, and this was probably one of the biggest tournaments of the year. It was very significant because the new set 5 cards were out like a week ago, so there was a bit of time for people to cook some decks up, and there has been some huge impacts in what is, you know, the top tiers, I guess, of the current metagame. The metagame has basically totally shifted from set 4, or whatever the set was before this. So yeah, let's just kind of get into it. Let's kind of talk about it. There's just a lot of decks to talk about, much more fleshed out lists as well, and then a lot of data to kind of shift through. So unfortunately, I think Fuzzy's just busy, right? So we're just going to jump into some of the hard results that have been posted by Bouchard and some of the foreign members of the community. So this is from Drift Yaro, and he posted a kind of... So WGP Tokyo was mixed... Well, had two blocks. Had two blocks because there was like a lot of teams, a lot of players. So there was like a block A and a block B. This kind of this pie chart here, done by the Japanese side, they compiled all the deck lists from everyone who lost like went X1, right? As you know, Japan has like a big diversity cut, and they cut at X1s. So even if you might have gotten like 8th, right, you might end up not making top cut because your decks in your teams weren't diverse enough. So this kind of just goes through everything and all the X1 lines and kind of compiles them to see who ended up going X1 by the end of Swiss. So this, I think in Japan for Tokyo, it was like 5 rounds of Swiss followed by like a top 16 cut. And yeah, so as you can see, the biggest share, this is combining both Block A and Block B, by the way, was Varga. Right, Varga, and the second was Razel, third was actually Levy Drass, and fourth was Odium. Fifth is Night Rose, and then 6th was Love. Right, so Love, not Berry, and then we have kind of the rest. There was like a Shiranui, is it Alcalibra? Yeah, and then there was, I think there's Impultio, and then a Black. And if you kind of look at how many decks made it through for each of the, just the combined total of all of them. So you can see, for the X0s, there were like 5 Levy Drasses that went X0. There was also 4 Vargas, 4 Razales, 3 Loves, and then 2 Night Roses, and then just kind of the ones. But if you want to take a look at what made it through into top cut, there was like 11 Vargas, 11 Razales, and 10 Levy Drasses. But I think 8 Odiums. Odiums was less, 5 Loves. But I think the more interesting part is the number of X1s, right? So again, it's teams. There was a lot of teams, like 204 all up in the X1s in both brackets. 31 Vargas, 31 teams out of like 204. Is it? No, I think you divide it by 3. So at least like around half, right? Made it through with Varga. And then there was like a lot of Razales, a lot of Levy Drass as well at the X1 line, and then Odiums and Naira. So it's just what was mentioned before, right? So that's basically the numbers. And if we look at kind of all the decks, so this is just the Swiss. This is the nicer graphic that we can see. We can see, yeah, you know, the undefeated lines. I think this was just a Varga, Razel, Levy Drasses, then Odium. By the way, because like you make it through to the undefeated, it means you cuck everyone out. So like the team that brings the one, like Messiah and whatchamacallit, Prison. Yeah, these guys, they brought like 3 diverse decks, and they cut out. They basically make everyone else who brought these diverse decks just feel bad if they made it, like if they were X1, right? Zorga, Ava, yeah, there is Razel. And then when basically the diversity cut starts around here, because you can see a clear delineation between the meta decks, like the Razel, the Levy Drass, and here's is it like Erythragruma? Is that what it is? It's like the it's the monster that puts set orders. And it's like Rowa in Genesis, right? Now you might look at this and go, whoa, what is this? This is like this is that Alden grade 3 Jewel Knight clone, right? Well, this is actually this is like Love, the Love deck, but it's like fake Love. Basically what they do is they play a fake grade 3 in their ride line to get around diversity cut, and they just hard ride their grade 3. So I'll talk about it later. I'll show one off. And then, you know, there's Black, Smygo, Dayusha, yeah, bit of one-offs of everything. Arcane even made it through. So this is block A, by the way. And then the last few, we had another, so this is another fake one, another fake Love, right? So running, is it what, Viral Dragon? Is that what it's called? It's basically the Sharasfiel thingamajig. But yeah, we got that. And then in B block as well, first place, a lot of Levy Drass again, a lot of Vargas as well. As we know, it's one of the it is the most popular actually. A Kyrie, right? Night Rose, Flam G, right? Was undefeated. So they kind of just they ruined all the other Flam G players there. One Blangdemire. I thought there'd actually be more Blangdemires, but everyone's just on that Odium train. One Android, Messiah as well. And then I think Top Cut, like I think here was where it started to become diversity, because we have the Shoujo and the Harry that really isn't shown at all. But Kyrie was actually shown, right? Kyrie again popping up, some Shoujos popping up here, and then yeah, Ajiva, the one off Shonui. I think there should be more than one Shonui, right? There was some like messy. Look at this. Look, it's not really messy. It's just like, I guess it's smart, right? Diversity. If you really want, if you have two players in your team that really like playing Razel, you can play one of the old Razel in the right lane, and the other guy can play the new Razel in the right deck, and you can kind of go like, hey, will you play Turbo? I don't, but at least we both get to play Razel. Yeah. And then again, we have the Sarasviel promo, like manga promo. You're like, wow, this must be a Sarasviel deck. Nah, it's probably just a love deck. It's just more fake love, right? Are you into fake love? I don't know, right? I'm not a TV program. Anyway, one Yutspa as well. So yeah, pretty much just lots of Vargas, right? Lots of even though did Varga definitely made it. Yeah, definitely made the undefeated. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. So let's kind of go. I'm gonna go through all the winner decks, and then like basically top 4, all the top 4 decks, because there's just so many of them. And then I'm gonna go through some of the decks that like popped up here, which is like, well, you can see the GB here. Yeah. So first off, we have this team, right? This team came first. Boseto. I'm not gonna be able to know every single name. Boseto, Tanaka, and some like a guy. But yeah, they ran a Levy Drass. So the Levy Drass is really interesting, and I know, like, if you looked at my tier list before, or me analyzing the meta, right, I did say, like, Levy Drass might not be, like, tier A, because it might take some time for players to understand how the deck is played or develop, like, a metagame against it. But, you know, to be fair, they did, right? So, time to spill the sauce. So, how you actually play this deck is you have to think of it as a deck that starts playing the game on turn 4, and you're like going, what are you talking about? That sounds like a really dumb idea. Well, what you do is you like try and deny as much damage as you can to your opponent, because a lot of decks nowadays can't play without any like CB. So I don't know, if we look at the next one, so Black probably can play without CB, and then Love probably can as well, but so that kind of ruins everything. But yeah, a lot of decks like Varga, for example, can't play without CB. Raziel, without any damage, their output is very low. Other decks as well, you know, they just really can't function without CB. So you try and damage deny as much as you can, while they kind of give you damage. And then when you have damage that you can play with, that means you can use them to like create, you know, combos, get advantage, while your opponent doesn't really get anything. If they want to play aggressive, they have to hard play down cards from their hand, and then it gives you opportunities for you to just run into that and kill them. And then they're still at 0. There's no CB for them to get advantage from, and they have to, again, hard commit cards from their hand, or they're only going to swing with your Vanguard, thus slowing down the game a lot, right? If they're only turning sideways with their Vanguard to your Vanguard, then, you know, you only have one attack to worry about, and they have to pray for criticals and all that. So it basically works into your favor. Now, what happens when you ride up to grade 3? You use the new Emporia skill, and what you can do is you stick in another Emporio Levy Drass. You put 3 markers on your side of the board, and again, you can go damage deny, and then on turn 4, you will then do the Levy Drass skill again, suck in a Levy Drass, put 3 on your opponent's side of the board, and then you use Divine skill on your old Levy Drass, and that puts 1 on their side and 1 on your side. So now you have the game where you ideally are under a Persona Ride on your Levy Drass. You have 4 markers on your side, you have 4 markers on their side. This turn you have a crit as well. So you can start like dishing out the damage and pushing, like just pushing damage. And then on your opponent's turn, when they finally have that damage, they can finally do things. Their entire board is strategically placed a lot of Infinity Eye markers, so now you can like minus their attacks and make them feel really, really bad. And then you'll like plus hand, and that's kind of like working in your advantage, right? That's the good times for you. So that's kind of the idea behind how this Levy Drass deck works. Interestingly enough, as well, you can do something like really weird. I'm pretty sure you can just like for example, if you go second and your opponent only has like a 13k Vanguard, you can put a marker behind your Vanguard, right? And then you boost, and then minus 10k on your own power. I'm pretty sure you can do that, right? Because you can put plus 10k, you can give a unit plus 10k or minus 10k. And then if it's on your opponent's side of the board, that's the only time when the marker gets removed and you get to draw a card, right? But technically, you can give minus 10k to yourself, right? And then your 13 plus 8, then minus 10 becomes like 11k. And then you can like swing under their Vanguard, and then they don't get any damage. And you can do some like weird stuff like that. But yeah, that's kind of the idea. That's kind of the idea. So your entire board is like turn 4, your entire board is now buffed. Their board is now debuffed, and then you're basically just doing a bunch of attacks and then just pushing their damage. And then in some situations, you can just totally slow down the game and then just like eventually deck them out or kill them, right? So that's just like the high level view on how this deck is currently working and why it's seeing some success. Or why it's seeing a lot of success, actually. There was like a lot of 5-0 Levy Drasses. So I think it's really cool. I think it's a really cool way to play. It's definitely, I mean, I think people would say this is kind of my style of playing super lame until you're ready to play. But yeah, it's a really interesting way on how this deck has been developed, and the fact that players have figured this out relatively quickly means that, you know, the deck has shown a decent amount of success. But at the same time, now that people know kind of the alternate strategy of this deck, because the original strategy you'd think is just like, whoa, I'm on Imperio, put in stuff, let's just bash, bash, bash. I'm getting a bunch of power, you're getting a bunch of negative power. That's just like normal Vanguard, right? But once people figure out this strategy of, wow, he's going to be really lame towards me and like not give me any damage, then you're going to see a lot of players who either just like just one line for a couple of turns and just kind of just make your opponent have to attack your Vanguard or pass. That kind of shenanigans. And yeah, some more strategies, I guess, will be developed. And this is going to be a very different like meta for us, because we're playing in singles, so we don't have the chance where like I hope when we match up against another team, I'm not playing against the Levy Drass player. Like you can play like the dodge game when you're teams, but for us, in our meta, we're gonna have to go. There is gonna be people who play Levy Drass and play in a very, very lame way. What do I do to counter it, or what decks are good in beating that? So I think that's gonna add another kind of a dimension to our meta, especially with our Stride deck sets coming in later as well. So yeah, pretty cool strategy. I do like it a lot. Let's kind of take a look at the rest of the deck. So we see some of the maples, right? This maple just to get free stuff, and basically a lot of this deck is just working around getting just building a board and hoping it lives, right? Hoping it lives. And if to be fair, even if your board doesn't live, if you've put enough Infinity Eye markers on your opponent's side of the board, then you can like remove them, minus them power, and then draw a card, right? So you're gonna keep on drawing cards eventually, and then like ideally replenishing a hand. So you just run a bunch of other stuff that's like, so the Donation one, this lets you call out a card. This one also calls out a card. And then yeah, you just basically make a board. Just make a board. This attacks from back, right? This can give another card to attack from back. And then, yeah, was this one? This one just, I think this gets a bunch of power, right? It gets, so this is the boosty moving thing, yeah? Yeah, so, okay, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. And then, yeah, you have the musketeer looking lady. Well, I think it is a musketeer. It just like calls itself out for free. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. This deck is not running any counter charges. I see a lot of decks that run either low amounts or none, which is very interesting. It means they don't have CB problems, which is cool, right? It's cool. So a very interesting deck. Definitely a deck that I think a lot of people should be looking into and just paying attention to, because it's really, really cool, right? Especially the way I explain it. I spent a good amount of time doing it. Next we have is a black deck. I don't think there's anything changing much about this deck at all. It did well. It's like a turn 4 deck, because you right up to turn 3, bash, right up to turn 4, bash a lot more, minus some power. You win like that. That's the idea, right? It's like win on turn 4. And then here is the fake love deck. So as you can see, yeah, your ride line is love, 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 dragon, dragon, and you don't ride this guy, but what you do is you just hard ride her. That's it. You can ride from hand. Isn't that crazy? But why do you ride from hand? Well, there is this thing called this clock, right? I think I mentioned it before. This clock basically, like when it's in the bind zone, you can counterblast 1, and then you just search a deck for an Oshare Witch, which is basically a love card, right? A love unit card. And then you just add it to your hand, and then for that, you get to search after that a clothing item that was written on that card, and then you get to put it into that order zone. All right, so what's crazy is you don't see the crest here, but this thing, the crest lets you energy blast 3, and you look at top 7, and you can put these dresses, including the clock, into, well, look at top 7. You show up to 4 different dresses that have different grades, because there's like 0, 1, 2, 3, and the clock is a dress, and then you get to put them all into the order zone. So ideally, at some point, you're gonna put a clock into the order zone in your first couple of turns. And if the worst case scenario doesn't happen, you can either just hard play a clock, or you can play the dragon that can search for the clock. And then as long as you put the clock into the order zone, that means you have your grade 3. So it's just that easy, right? It's honestly just that easy. So that's why everyone is running these fake grade 3 ride lines to beat Diversity Cut. Now, if this deck ever comes out in English, we won't need to do this at all, right? Unless we have Diversity Cut, which I pray we don't, because otherwise it'll suck. But yeah, just keep that in mind. If you're in like Singapore, Indonesia, where there's no Diversity Cut, you just run a normal, love ride line, and I think you're set. You don't have to run weird stuff unless you want to be like cool, right? Unless you want to be cool. There's honestly no point. The rest of the deck is just I guess they're only running 1 line of the love cards. There's actually another grade 2 that you can run, but they're not running it, so now they have more space to play things like Biscotti and the dragon. So yeah, that's pretty much it, right? It's a pretty cool deck. The love skill, great, like 3x skill is just you make 5 attacks. That's it. That's cool. But then I guess you could, if you're playing against Levy Drass, then they'll damage deny you and then minus your power, and you feel bad. And that's the first place team. The second place team, these guys are very happy. Subete ga N ni naru. So everyone becomes N. Yeah, they're all very happy. Right, second place is cool. They brought a Shamo deck, which is interesting. It recently got some support. I think this is a Divine LBTO4 one. So it gives power. So anything that gives power, I think, is a net win. This one didn't. But yeah, not much different. There's nothing like really new to the deck except for the recent supports that it got. And then yeah, just again, it's ideally a turn 4 deck. Hit turn 4, you do a Persona Ride, you make a bunch of huge ass power. Your opponent can't guard. GG. Alright, GG. And then second was an Archite. So this is actually Archite. I was like, when I saw this, I was going, there's no way Archite makes it. But I guess it's like a similar plan. You can confirm Persona Ride, you can thin your deck, you can do a multi-attacks, you can just get a bunch of power. So second place, pretty good. And then we have an Impoldio as well. Impoldio. So yeah, this deck continues to do work. And this has been like nothing new. It got support in this set, right? But it's just so bad that I don't think people are running it at all. Just running old Impoldio. So okay, cool. Third place, like Chim Momiji. That's like a restaurant nearby. Yeah, very happy. They got the thumbs up. They brought the Levy Drass as well, only running one of the Dual Nation, but they're also running one counter. They're running a bunch of one-offs. It's one counter charge, right? This is the counter charger. Yeah, one Misty Arc Habitat to top 7 search. And then what else are you running in this deck that took up all this? I guess they're running like more of this, the Restander, right? The boosty movie. And then you have the 4X. I think the last guy was running 3X. So I guess that's where the slots went. I mean, five callers are also pretty good, right? The last deck was running 8, but 5 cards that can call itself out is pretty decent. So, okay, that's not bad. That's not bad. Again, Levy Drass, still same strat that I said before. Next is Odium. So Odium had a lot of showings, and the reason why is that it's a turn 4 deck. But it's a... The thing is, you have to understand is Odium is a really consistent turn 4 deck where you push damage on turn 4, you do your divine skill, you get 2 turns in a row, basically 2 battle phases, so you go from 3 to 6 attack. Your front row, at least your rearguards are pretty big, right? And your vanguard also gets power if you play is it this thing? Yeah, you play the order. So yeah, you just push. You have the new PR, Shenri Clone PR. So you can just play these down. They act as boosters. Your opponent didn't commit anything, then the 13k boosters, and they can suck in. Otherwise, they can stick around until you play an order at grade 3 and then just like pop off there. And then if you do pop off, then you have things like, when you pop off early, put them in soul early, you have your Forward and Revaltis and call them out. So you have the early game. That's the key thing with this deck. I think you need an early game to kind of push your opponent. If you don't, then I feel like the game lasts too long and you kind of fall behind. But if you push early, then your kill at turn 4 is very significant and very scary. And even though you might not kill, your opponent will be like devastated, right? They're not devastated. Sad times. The nice thing about this deck as well, if your opponent, like on your first battle phase, on your divine skill kill turn, gets an OT, then by the time you go to your second turn, all those triggers disappear. They're not 100 million K anymore. So you can continue to bash your opponent. You're not like playing Leonord and feeling really bad when your opponent gets an OT on your Vivace turn. But yeah, like this is actually showing a lot of results, and this card is, I mean, is this silver rare? So yeah, the secret rare of this is like insane price, actually insane price. So pretty cool. It's pretty cool that like one of these decks, these cool decks, are like doing some work, right? And then next we have is a Razel. So I've been kind of trying to pay attention to like what these Razel decks are bringing. I thought people would bring a lot of just turbo Vita decks, but everyone is sticking to the good old school Razel deck, where they just run the old classic Razel in the slot, right, in the grade 3 slot, simply because like the format is like really quick right now. You can get push damage quite a lot. So having the divine skill immediately is pretty good, right? You can just ride to grade 3. If you've been like bashed like crazy, you can divine skill immediately and kind of just pop it off. If you ride a Vita first, then yeah, you have to wait till the next turn, because you have to suck in the Razel. And I guess like people have mentioned, if you don't suck in an OG Razel on your Vita ride, then you're not going to have divine skill for a couple of turns, and that could be really bad, which is true. I agree. It could be really, really bad. So yeah, everyone's sticking with the old Razel, but the deck is just like pretty much as you think it is. You have, you know, the Ketapile stuff, right? Wisdom, TF, and Sergon. Still a lot of aggression early, but then you still have like a decent top end. You have a pretty decent top end to kind of pop off. So pretty cool. And then the 4th place team, this should be 4th place. Then they brought a Messiah. Messiah. I think it's a hostage Messiah, right? This one is this one searches for the thing that like moves rearguards the bind circle. So yeah, hostage Messiah, and they're also running 4x of this. Wow, what? 4x of the dog? Yo, okay, product dog. But I guess is there like actually just no? Is there no alter ego Messiah in the main deck? Am I tripping? So do they just never? Huh? Do they just never go into this strat at all? Like, I mean, they never go into Exilix? Okay. That's like a lot of reliance on having Arrestas though, right? Like, yeah. That's like a lot of reliance on your Arresta Messiah. Wow. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, so that I guess it's an interesting Messiah deck. Hostage Messiah. Yeah. And then there is a Luard here. They're playing a very interesting card. This grade 3. What this does is... Oh no, this is not the one. So this is just a grade 2. This is the anti-hostage grade 2. So I'm guessing they're very afraid of all the Night Rose. Like, there's a spike. There's a spike in the amount of hostage decks right now because of Night Rose. All the Night Rose decks are running it. So I guess running one copy of this is kind of like a counter to that. Alright, but the rest of this deck is... I guess they just cut out one of the Shadow Paladin. One of the Diras for this. So it's at 3 instead of 4, and the rest of it is kind of what you'd expect from a Loire deck. And then lastly, we have is the Prison. So this deck is actually pretty interesting right now because Prison, you have that soul manipulation where you can destroy your opponent's soul. Literally and figuratively, I guess. But now that you have a lot of cards that you want to stay in your soul, like all the Divine Skill cards, you might get into a point where you pop off and then just remove key cards from their soul, and they just feel really bad. So that's actually pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. The other thing too is that you run the Melting Heart. This one's actually really good against restanders. And if you look at a lot of decks right now, one, you have like Vaga, for example, where it's pretty good to control damage, right? You control damage, you limit what they can do. That means you also limit on what they can call out of their prison. And then once they have a lot of things stuck in their prison, your Melting Heart will just be like insane, right? Again, this is like for the turn minus 5k for each of the cards in your prison. So if you have like 5 cards in your prison, and then it's like a minus 25 for the entire turn. If you minus 25 a Vaga restand, they're not restand. They really shouldn't restand. They really should use a Divine Skill, right? Otherwise, it's just a huge waste. So there's a lot of restanders in the current format, and this can get like double value pretty easily, or maybe even triple value, depending on how much value you're interested in. So yeah, I think this deck seems kind of cool. Like, but then again, I'm kind of like the Copian guy who's like, I really like playing Prison, but most of the time Prison kind of is not that great. But hey, it could be the time again, but maybe not, right? Maybe not. I feel like the one weakness with Prison is that once players find the loop, right? The loop that they want, the card that they want to keep on putting into the Prison, once they find that card, and they learn how to just loop that card out all the time, then your deck becomes really bad. And then a lot of decks now do have that, and a lot of the non-meta decks have that as like just have straight up weird counters to Prison. That it's just like a really weird meta for Prison. It's always a weird meta for Prison, I guess. But yeah, that's life. That's life as a Prison player. All right. Moving on to Block B. So what was the top 4 for Block B? This is the winning team. This is I don't know the name. Is it the Wind? Kaze no Omomu Mamani. Okay. And the names are correct. We got Okay, Let's Go Kurokoge, and then Potato, and then Pashut. It's like Pashut Assault or Pursuit Assault, right? Pretty cool. They're very happy though. Look at their decks. Let's look at their decks. So the first one, we have the Razel. So again, we have the OG Razel there, and then this one's just running the full complement of all the Razels. Only one Gabrielius. They're also running 4x of the Brand Dual Nation. So Valtrosa. Yeah. This is not running a Ketapal list, but that means they have the slots to run things like this. And then you still have the Sergons, because you always run the Sergon. Sergon's just like an insanely good card. But then you can run things like Kadwala. We also have this lady from set 3, Pararam, right? It's kind of just make your deck more consistent, I guess. So you're kind of trading like the burst ability of like the Ketapal stuff and just making a full board early for kind of more utility. Which is cool, and you have like 3x of the counter. This is on the aerial stage. This is like the dog countercharger. But this kind of just kind of kills itself to countercharge, so I guess it's pretty good against like something like Razel, Vaga, because Vaga will just kind of retire your whole board anyways. Your aerial stage kind of won't stay there. This one you won't need to discard a card, so I guess that's nice. It's nice. Next is the Odium. So I think we kind of seen one already. This one is running the old Solar Cycler as well. And then just, yeah, we got instead of the Ford, right? The Ford and Revolters. So Cyclers, you run the grade 1 Shenry clone, and then I guess you're boosting this, you're boosting the grade 2, because this can come out early and you feel bad, counterblast 1 and draw a card. So yeah, I think that's pretty cool, right? Odium again showing it's good. They're running 2 red OTs already. So I think red OT is correct, right? You just want to make a big turn. Then a Levy Drass as well. So this one is running 1. I actually do like this one probably the best. So you have like the 1 countercharger. You have 4 of the elf. You can only really call out 1 elf. Like, is it elf? Is she an elf? I guess I'll call it musketeer. You don't really call out. She's a Byroad actually. You can call out only 1 musketeer a turn, like one of her a turn. But you always want to see it, right? You really always want to see it. So I can see why you want to run 4x of this, just to make it way more consistent. And then you have like both both complements of the caller, but the Dual Nation one does have an extra plus, which when you play, you can look at the top card of the deck. So if you see something you don't want, which is not a trigger, you can just discard it. You can just put it in the drop zone, right? Which is pretty good. Which means, like, yeah, you see the Musketeer, bam, throw it away. You see a trigger, leave it there, right? Leave it there. And then you have, like, the one copy of the Countercharger. I always feel like it's important to have this Countercharger, just for desperate situations, you know, desperate situations. Not everyone's gonna play the way you think they will. If they want to outgame you, well, you have the outplay right here. Just call out a Countercharger so you can just do more things in one turn, or make sure you never get Counterblast stuck, which is very important. I think that's very important. If you get Counterblast stuck, they're playing your game, you know. And then in the second place, second place team, we got Takayuya and Kakeru Star, and they brought a Night Rose. This is like the first Night Rose we've seen. Yeah, it's still okay. I think it's kind of weird for Night Rose because you have so many aggressive decks right now, but at the same time, all these decks want to go first, so that kind of makes it cool for you because you're pretty cool with going second, because that means you get first. You get to just naturally get your first stride. Though I'm still wondering, like, is that good for you? Because then they're gonna pop off, and maybe you're not ready, and maybe you're just dead. Like, when you're just dead, that's just life, right? Before Night Rose, you could probably draw a bunch of cards and live, but now you might draw a bunch of cards and still die. Which I don't know. I think it's an interesting meta now for Night Rose. Running 3 of the Philander. There's the hostage one as well. That's why everyone's taking the random anti-hostage cards sometimes. Night Roses do, but this one isn't. It's only running 2 of the shade though. This is usually they usually run a lot of this, right? They cut out more Philanders these days, I think, and they're cutting out some shades just to feel. I think this one's this one increases, or this guy just comes out. This just calls out. So yeah, okay, interesting. Then we got a Kairi. So Kairi, surprising actually. Kairi, I guess on your turn 4 you can make a pretty decent amount of attacks. You have, well, this one's only running 1x of the order, but like the aura does search for like any order you kind of want. So I guess it's pretty cool. And then this one's just giving. Oh, this one's the one that gives Rigard's boost. So, okay, that's kind of interesting. Right, kind of interesting. And then the last one they're running is a Drajul. So Drajul's actually kind of hype in this meta, right? Because, like, let's say you're getting damage denied by Levy Drass or something like that. But Drajul himself, he doesn't really need CB to pop off. The only thing that needs CB is to make an extra multi-attack with the Rockagore, right? But if you don't want to, I mean, this grade 1 is just a Soul Blast, yeah? And you get to stand. So, like, with no CB, you're making like 4 attacks. You're minusing your opponent's power, which is relatively significant in this current meta because there's a lot of decks that can kind of go to 18k pretty easily. And if they get a trigger, they go to 28, which is like a really, really annoying number for you. But then if they go to 0, then your life is better. All right, your life is better. And they did get a new grade 1. So this grade 1, it's like extra shield, which is great because your Drajul just slow and, you know, people just bash you. But you have an axe skill for this in drop, where if your Vanguard is Drajul grade 3 or higher, you can just bind this and then pick a grade 3 in your drop zone and put it into your soul. So that kind of helps with your, like, filling of your soul, especially like when you don't have CB or when you have low amounts of CB. So yeah, I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool deck, and just like bringing it as a third deck, I think is pretty fine, right? Pretty fire. Yeah. Third place, we have this. These guys got the Leal Mat. This guy's got a Ava in his like laminate, like his binder. Yo. And then they brought Night Rose as well. So another hostage Night Rose build. This one's running 3 of the shades, 4 enlarged, so like 4-1. Still running the Flanders as well. Yeah, okay. And then next is the Odium. So Odium, they're running the Ford and the Shenri. So this is literally like echoes of Shiranui, right? Ford Revaltus and the Shenri. Let's go. But this time it's in Dark States, right? These guys are also running Gunga Rams. Yo, okay. So they're going like, they cut the grade 2 Colossus that the other guys were running, the CB1 draw 1, Soul Charge 1, and they're going like Gunga Ram with the Ford and Revaltus, and then Forex of this, because honestly you always have to run this, I think, and then you can just like out the gate, turn 1, even like just bash, right? Like if you go second, plop some cards down, go. If you go first, then you know your Gungaram, you can slap down a Gungaram, slam that in, go sideways a bit. Yeah, I think it's very, very, probably a much more aggressive list, right, than the other decks. So pretty cool. And then we also have one Ava. So this Ava Chad still playing Ava, right? He's got the Avas in the laminated binder. No Shoujo Dojis, right? So your front row doesn't like disappear anymore. So you actually still get your value from intercepting. It's kind of crazy, but maybe like if you're up against Vaga as well, they can't retire your obfuscate, so you still get that value as well. So I don't know. Maybe it's cool. Maybe it's cool. Like, is this copium, right? Maybe it's copium. I don't know, but yeah, okay. Might be good. Might be good. And then we have like 4th place, you know, very happy team, right? And they brought another Kyrie list. So another Kyrie deck. This one's not running the boost anymore. So less orders as well. So just like straight up no aura needed. But yeah, pretty crazy. Like Kyrie, I swear Kyrie has been like rising in popularity like everywhere, right? I just randomly see like Kyrie decks, even like locals, even you know at other tournaments. So I think it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. Shoujo, so the Doji is back, right? The Doji is back, but like there's way less of it. Everyone's playing other decks, and it's like a 1 in 3 in teams. The ban list is an effect. So there's one Izasaur, but they kind of like. I think before they were just running a bunch of cards that kind of removed your opponent's binders to cash in on that. This one's running more Forktails, it seems like. Just put in the Forktails and then like some Ford and Raltus. So yeah, easy life. And Shenri's. Wow, yeah. I think they did run Shenri before, right? I think some decks did. Maybe not all decks ran Shenri. Okay. And then after that we have is it Harry? So one of Harry just made it in. Yeah, one of Harry made it in. What is this grade 2? Yeah, this is the rename of the special art of what do you call it? The Cyclist. That's right, Cyclist. I nearly forgot the Cyclist. Running Folklore. Only one of the Shenri clone here. One Shenri PL. I guess they're running like Folklore engine, right? Folklore and Clockwise engine. Boom boom. Right, similar to Chronojet, I guess. Similar to Chronojet. So yeah, pretty crazy. Harry's like dropped off so much. I swear we hardly see Harry at all, right? It's pretty crazy. Maybe, is it too slow? Is it just too slow? Is it too inconsistent and too slow? Everyone's just killing you too quickly? But yeah, that's all the topping decks of the format. And now kind of let's look at the cool decks that we haven't seen yet. So I put in a couple of Vaga decks simply because, you know, a lot of Vaga tops, but none of them made top 4, which is sad. But that's just how life is, right? This is just how life is, you know. You can top, but you still have to play 4 rounds. 4 rounds to make it to the end, all single Ilium, and you have to pray your team also does well. And sometimes they just don't. Sometimes life just makes it hard for you, and you won't get featured in top 4 unless you win at least 2 of them, right? So yeah, but yeah, this is a Rasetsu deck. A lot of showing. The ride line's still the same as most Vaga decks before. I do believe like these like 2-2 is pretty nice. Just like yeah, the grade 3 split is good, but also because I think. I mentioned this before, this is the Summit Flare Dragon. People in the comments before I mentioned like how good it is because it has like 2 skill. First one is just the anti-G-Zone skill, which is just like extra shield, but also if your opponent has a G-Zone, you get like a lot of shield, right? But also you have like an ability that just lets you, you put like 2 cards from your ride line back into your ride line, right? So from your solo drop, back into your ride line, and then you can look at top 7 and grab a Vanguard that is different. Grab a grade 3 card, grade 3 high card that is different name from your Vanguard. So like if you're on a Vaga, that means you can grab a Vaga Rasetsu, which makes it like really consistent, right? It makes it really consistent. But also because you're running a different spread of grade 3s here, you like run 8 more in the deck. Well, you're around not 8 more, but you run 8 grade 3s in the deck. That means you can also pick off some important other cards, like your other grade 3s pretty much, which can make them more consistent too when you want them. So, yeah, I think the Summer Flare is like auto-include 4x in the deck, which is pretty nice. But yeah, if you don't even have to play still in the field, right? It activates in hand, and the other one just on the Guardian Circle. So it's just extra value. It's just literally just extra value for you. If you miss as well, right, this card just goes back to your hand as well. So you can always, like, if you hit it, you hit it. If you don't, you have shield. So there's like no downsides to this deck. The only downside to this, there's like no downsides of this card. The only downside of this card in this deck is that it doesn't like come into the field and like pop and give you value, you know? right? Like if other cards here will give you value when you put them on the field. This one kind of doesn't. It just dies. Just as an AK boost, it dies. That's pretty much it. So yeah, pretty cool. This is kind of what you'd expect from a Rust list right now. Of course, the main thing is just the Vanguard just popping off. Another one here, pretty much not running the Glaive Dragon. This one's like running less Summit Flares, but adding in Benayas as well, just kind of get more draws, I guess. So that's pretty cool. And then the other one here as well. This is just another one. So 3 Summit Flares. Like we saw a 4, we saw a 2, and a 3. So this was a 3 one. This is like the mid-range, or the mid-range, but the one in between everything. Not on the Glaive as well, and then just the rest of the deck. It's kind of similar to the other decks too. It's literally just ratios, right? It's just ratios. The next deck we can look at is the Love deck. So this is actually just a normal, pure Love deck. Kind of, right? Kind of. So I guess the ratios are kind of strange, which is kind of interesting. They're still not running the other grade 2. Only running one set of the grade 2 Love. But yeah, so we got 1, 2, and 3. Cool beans. 4x of the this is the dragon, right? 4x of the dragon. Sometimes you have to like, because it's Kenna, it kind of can look like a dog, right? So you have to make sure it's a dragon, not a dog. This one is running extra copies of like some of the dresses. I'm assuming these are like, yeah, so they're running extra copies of the grade 3 dress because of the clock. So I guess just like more consistency, right? I guess just more consistency. But otherwise, yeah, very simple deck to do. Yeah, this is Love, and then we can show you more fake Love. So this is fake Love, right? You run this, you're like, wow, this card looks really nice. It looked nice on my deck log or like on like the website or Twitter when they posted. But it's actually just Love, dude. It's fake Love, bro. And then it's just running some extra copies there of something. I don't think this is the grade 3 clothes, but it's just clothes. It's running like 1x copy of the clothes because I guess they don't know what else to put in. But yeah, again, don't ride this. Go into this. Just ride this from hand because you have the clock that can search for it. Next is the, what was this guy's name? It's like Elder Gamer? Elder Gleamer? So this one is, this card actually got some support, right? If you look at what came out, we have this set 5 grade 1 for Elder Gleamer. This one's pretty cool. So, you know, when your Vanguard is Elder Gleamer, grade 3 or higher, you can pop this and then reveal 3 like types of set orders from your hand, and then you can just place them all onto the set order zone, and then draw a card. All right, draw a card. So this is definitely going to accelerate Elder Gleamer quite a lot. This one is another new card as well, right? This one is just when it attacks. If your Vanguard is Elder Gleamer, grade 3 or higher. If your order zone has 3 or more types of orders, well, not types, like 3 different orders, right? You can counterblast 1 and energy blast 3, and you get to draw 1, and then for this unit gets plus 10k for the turn. If you have 5 or more different like kinds of orders, it gets a crit. So you get a crit and 10k for the whole turn. This is not once per turn, by the way. So if you can restand this, you can keep on getting 10ks and crits. And I guess it can get pretty scary because your Elder Gleamer as well doesn't require any CB, but also it's like a once per turn. So just kind of just read this card properly. So you know, when it comes in on the Vanguard circle, you can reveal it to the top 5 cards of your deck, and then just put all the set orders into the order zone and shuffle your deck. But the second effect is the most important one. So with this card, at the end of the battle, this card attacks, right? You can pick as many cards, set orders in your order zone as you want. If you pick 3 or more, you pick one of your reguards and you stand it. And if you pick 5 or more, you stand this card as well. And then for the turn, this unit gets plus 10k and minus 2 drive. So after this, you're not drive checking at all. And then for the orders that you chose, you just put them back to your deck and shuffle them. So I guess the key thing here is that this card itself kind of makes like 5 attacks when you pick 5, right? Because it's gonna stand a regard and then it's gonna stand the Vanguard. So like 1 regard, Vanguard, and then you can do like Vanguard with no drive and then a regard with no drive. No, but that's wrong because this is not once per turn. So if you have a bunch of orders in your order zone, you can attack again with this and then stand a regard and then stand itself, and then you can go to like -2 drive, but who cares, right? You're just making more attacks. It is pretty heavy though. You're putting back a lot of orders, but it also means you can kind of stand your grade 2 dude that is just like chilling and getting 10k in a crit, and then standing again, and then just like kind of pop off. Because that other card also doesn't require CB. These 2 aren't limited by once per turn. So I think you can just like go off pretty crazy if you have the right setup. But at the same time, if you don't have the right setup, you feel really bad. But then you have like things like this, right? You have you can call like Shadow Army tokens and things like that. So I guess you can go pretty crazy. Yeah, I guess you can go pretty crazy. Random card that's like random deck that just nice diversity, right? Nice diversity. We have a Genesis. So this Genesis, one thing that like it's crazy about this is where all the Genesis cards is like literally just Minerva, Angelica, and then we have one of the witches. Is it Chamomile? That's it. It's all the Genesis. You remember those times where you felt really bad when you want to restand with Minerva, but you don't have any Genesises? Genesises. Yeah, that could be you, but there's so many good quality Keter cards. I guess like it doesn't matter anymore because you have the Sergions, you have the Festival Collection guy that just lets you get back cards that you've discarded. So now you never have that problem, right? So yeah, you can play way more greedy, I guess, now with this grade 1, and then you have your nice Dual Nation stuff to, you know, get things that you need. And then we have this one from set 3 as well that's like Genesis support. So a one-off Genesis deck as well. Pretty insane, but maybe it has some potential. Maybe. I don't know. And then we have Flam G. So Flam G, this one got a new card from set 5. Is actually called Flam G Support Guitars. So the first effect when played from hand allows you to check the top deck equal to the number of Flam G units you have on your side of the field. And then you can pick a card from it and just add it to hand. So it's literally like any card. It's like pretty good. So you have like three Flam G cards on the board. Well, let's just say 6, right? Let's go. We have 6? Let's just say 3. You check it up 3, and you can just like grab any card. And there's a straight up plus. So that's pretty good. Right? That's pretty good. The second effect is you act, and then if your Vanguard's a Flam G grade 3 or higher, just Energy Blast. It's true. My eyes, I'm getting old eyes, right? Energy Blast true, and then you tie this, and then you get this like red text for this turn that all your Flam G units are base 13k. So this is actually relevant because your Flam G, she calls like these are all like high rarity stuff. So she like rides the grade 0, right? And then the grades are like really weak, but she gives it a bunch of power. So like it kind of works out, but then again it doesn't because it's just not the best, right? It's because she's actually 6k, right? So she's 6k, but she gets power, like 2k power. But now she's 13k, and then she gets the power, and then she gets the Persona Ride power. So it all works out, right? It all works out. So I guess that's kind of the main thing right now. And I guess like I think there was one other support, like this one. Right? This is a new card. But yeah, so yeah, this is pretty cool, right? Maybe makes the deck work. Again, another third deck in the pool that you can use for diversity cut regulations. And then we have one Alcalibra. Alcalibra, I guess is the disappointment of everyone because everyone hyped it to be good, but it was like just okay, right? Just okay. Again, I think it got some support, and that's why it topped. Well, it did okay. People would take it. And then a Jiva. So a Jiva. I don't think there's anything that different in Jiva right now, right? But I guess there's no Shoujo Dojis as well. So, well, there's less Shoujo Dojis. So I guess it's, you don't just like lose all your overdress units or cross overdress units for free. So I guess it's cool. Jiva. And then lastly we have is just the Turbo Gabrielius deck, I guess. Not Gabrielius, Turbo Vita build, because diversity, right? This is definitely not the common deck that everyone was running. But this was running the Hostage build with some crazy cards here as well. So we have a great... This is like, how old is this card? Right? How old is this card? It looks like, this is God Restrict? Yeah, God Restrict. And they also running this great... I guess it's pretty interesting. It's like, when it attacks, you Energy Blast 3 and then just retire another card. Another Regard, right? I think it's in another column. And then you just draw a card and it gets plus 10k. So you kind of like retire, get some value, and then your Vita calls out a bunch of stuff to replace everything. So yeah, that's it. It's like a Caterpillar deck as well with the Wisdoms and the TF and the Sergons, and then with the splash of Hostage. Yeah. So that's all the decks, all the interesting decks. I think there's probably way more interesting decks as well, but you can just kind of check the deck logs that are just on the screen, literally on the screen. And let me know what you guys think of the current meta. I think it's pretty interesting, right? Kind of what I predicted as well, some of it, but I do like the Levy Drass innovations. I just like reading the cards before. It felt like it was definitely gonna go somewhere, and people figured it out really quickly, which is really cool. So we're gonna see a lot more of that Levy Drass, and hopefully, you know, if you are thinking of getting the deck, you should pick up the pieces right now, because we're in the English format, and things might get expensive really quickly. Especially in VCS season. So, I don't know. That's just me warning you. Okay, that's me warning you. But yeah, that's it for me. Let me know what you all think of the current format and all the results. And I'll see you all next time. All right? Long video. All right? Bye.